Hello, my name is Ola, and I'm going to be reacting to why animals' most hated animal is underrated. Um, yeah, most hated animal. I don't know what that could be, but let's check it out. And if you want to like, comment, subscribe to my channel, you can. If you don't want to, that's fine too. Here we go. Whoa.
What's the most underrated animal? See, now that's almost a trick question because of the very definition of underrated. Because if everyone agrees that this one thing is underrated, then, well, it's really not that underrated. Same thing if I ask you what animal's overhated. Because again, if a majority of people can agree that one specific animal gets too much hate, then guess who suddenly isn't that overhated? And that applies to animals I can guarantee you've already thought of. Like, I'll bet at least one person thought sharks. Well, actually, sharks have gotten pretty good PR over the years. Mostly because we realize we murk hundreds of millions of them a year. That and dolphins started getting the smoke that was previously reserved for sharks. And believe it or not, gorillas used to get that same type of smoke too. Thanks to King Kong, there was a time where people saw our vegan bodybuilding cousins as violent, malicious hellspawns. Basically, what we know chimpanzees are, we thought gorillas were. It took a kid falling into a gorilla pen and, not dying for public perception to change. I'm talking about Binti, by the way. Harambe, that's another story.
Yeah.
But speaking of PR, maybe nobody's has gotten more of a 180 than the wolf. An animal that was once so feared and loathed that people did everything in their power to keep wolves from breathing US oxygen. Wasn't until we realized one, we kinda need wolves, and two, wolves are actually terrified of people for us to change how we felt about them. So really, none of these animals can be called the most overhated. For an animal to be truly overhated, consequentially most of you would have to dislike it enough to disagree that it gets too much hate in the first place. Which is why this isn't a shark, gorilla, or even a wolf video. But before I tell you what it is, we recently just passed the 2-year anniversary of this channel that again pretty much started by accident. So in the spirit of change and new beginnings and all that, there's so much f***ing room now. Yeah, this is life now. Anyway, for an animal to be truly overhated, it's not enough for just people to have it out for them. And it's the fact that almost anything with a pulse is born instinctively hating coyotes that puts them here. If there's one thing you learn in this video, it's that no other animal gets treated more like nature's stepchild than the coyote. A red-haired middle child at that. And while the human-wolf arc has actually gone in a positive direction, people seem to hate their cousins as much if not more than they did 100 years ago. First, let's talk about what coyotes are. The key difference between a coyote and a wolf is that coyotes wear the face of someone who's seen everything life has to offer and was impressed by none of it. I've never seen an animal look so done with life. Well, except for this guy. Now, I once said that wolves are everything coyotes are, but better. That wasn't exactly true. Because while wolves usually outcompete coyotes and straight up bully them when they're in the same area code, coyotes make up ground by being way more adaptable. That's actually what helped turn the wolves' image around. Because the absence of wolves meant coyotes were able to run around unchecked and unhinged. And thanks to a diet that consists of literally anything that isn't nailed down, no seriously, if it fits down a coyote's throat, they're gonna eat it. Coyotes were able to succeed almost as well in the city as they did in the prairie. You can find a coyote in 49 states, and if there was a Hawaiian border, they'd probably go 50 for 50. Being able to make a meal plan out of almost anything, while also being clever enough to avoid humans, is why coyotes, unlike wolves, were able to succeed in urban areas the way most predators couldn't. They're basically travel-sized wolves that identify as raccoons. Any given moment you stand on American soil, you're standing closer to a coyote than you might want to admit. For example, there's about 30,000 Wiley seasoned across New York, and chances are you haven't seen one of them. It's almost like they all have NordVPN. Because NordVPN creates an encrypted tunnel for your data and protects your identity by hiding your IP address, allowing you to browse the internet in the shadows like a coyote in the city. And you get to enjoy your internet experience without having to worry about your data being sold on the black market, or whatever they do with that. You have the option to connect to one of thousands of different servers across several different countries. If you ever want to watch SpongeBob on Netflix but can't in your area, Australian servers are a hop, skip, and a button away, without the 18-hour plane ride or the toilet snakes. Also, with super fast servers, you never have to feel like you're compromising your speed for security. And thanks to NordVPN's threat protection, you can enjoy whatever you do on the internet, again, I don't judge, whatever that may be, without having to worry about ads, trackers, and malware. So to get the most out of your streaming service, make sure to go to nordvpn.com/casualgeographic to cop a huge discount available only for a limited time. A discount including an additional 4 months free off a 2-year plan. And with NordVPN's money-back guarantee, it's basically risk-free. You wanna know what isn't risk-free? Well, if you're a coyote, breathing. Threat protection would actually be a pretty huge buff to them because, long story short, anything that's in constant contact with a coyote is either taught or born hating them. You're probably familiar with the wolf-raven relationship. Here's how coyotes fit into that. So wolves have no love and no patience for coyotes, mostly because the latter will try to steal food from them right under their nose, which often gets the coyote put on a shirt on sight. Now, ravens and coyotes often compete for the wolves' leftovers. But because ravens are also one of the smartest things in the world with wings, they'll often snitch on thieving coyotes over to their wolf backup. And because why stop there, oftentimes while the coyote is actively running for its life, the raven will fly right above it to show the wolves which direction to run in. It's really no different than a helicopter during a high-speed chase. And the result is often one less coyote to count on the census. And somehow having an airborne black Air Force put a real-life hit on you isn't where it ends for them. Believe it or not, the very symbol of our country is really just an overgrown glorified seagull with the vocal cords of one. And as scavengers, that puts the alopecia pigeon often in direct competition with the wolf's understudy. Not only will bald eagles attempt to bully coyotes away from food, if you're lucky, you'll even see them snatch the food right out of the coyote's mouth and dare them to do something about it. Something that the coyote's a pair of wings and a couple billion years of evolution away from doing. It doesn't stop there. Bears will often unsubscribe coyotes from life before they get the chance to finesse them for food. Cougars do the exact same, except unlike bears, they'll often go out of their way to eat the coyote. Once in a while, a coyote will make the mistake of stopping for a drink, only to get game overed by a gator. Even raccoons find a way to get their licks in, as mobs of raccoons have been known to attack and jump single lone coyotes. That's why it's never a good idea to beef with something born with its own ski mask. Donkeys come into the world with a raging hate bone for anything that even looks coyote in the face. Which is why not only will donkeys unregister coyotes from life, they'll also thrash and ragdoll the coyote's soul divorced corpse like a toy. This dog discrimination even applies to the big bird of South America. Like the donkey, the rhea has an internal prejudice for the entire canine family, and that extends to coyotes. Coyotes aren't usually found in South America, meaning coyotes manage to succeed in being hated by an animal that hasn't even met them yet. And as for humans, well, like I said, Americans hate coyotes more than the metric system. You don't have to see a coyote, you don't even have to live near one. All you have to be is a kid with cable on a Saturday morning to watch a coyote get curb stomped by life. Wiley really spent 70 years getting nannied on by a bird that really should have been light work in the first place. Like, if it wasn't for one animal, coyotes would really be out here with no friends. Coyotes and badgers are nature's unlikely duo. Unlikely since badgers should probably hate coyotes just as much as everyone else, since coyotes have a history of sometimes attacking and eating badgers. With badgers being a possible threat to coyote pups, the feelings should be mutual, but they manage to put all that aside when they hunt together. Since badgers can dig faster than any mammal, including a grown man with a shovel, they're able to flush out animals like ground squirrels and prairie dogs out of their burrows. Trying to hightail it on land puts them on schedule to get run down by the wily coyote. The coyote-badger team-up is so OP that they're actually 3 times more successful when they go out on hunts together. Everyone wins, except the squirrels. But like wolves and ravens, this isn't just a business relationship. Scientists have seen coyotes and badgers playing with each other and resting together even when food wasn't involved. Coyotes have been seen laying with their badger friends and licking them while the badgers would tolerate it. And if you know about badgers, tolerance is their love language. And it makes sense, since coyotes and badgers apparently go way back. Way back as in researchers found a Mexican jar believed to be from the 1300s that showed a drawing of the two animals together. It's one of the truly wholesome friendships in nature, just like Kevin and his rock. Also, I've shown this clip like 1,000 times, but I never mentioned that that's actually the coyote's play bow. It's usually something you'll only see them do with other coyotes, but occasionally you'll see them do it with other animals. Either way, that's what it looks like when an extrovert adopts an introvert. That's kind of where the positivity ends. Cause like I said, coyotes are the true plumbers of nature. They have to take every for a living. And the coyote carnage peeks out at us. Look, you could probably tell that I have a soft spot for coyotes, but I'm also self-aware enough to realize that if I had a cat or a small dog in coyote country, my feelings would probably be different. Actually, forget pets. If I had a sleep schedule worth defending and I lived near this, yeah, it would be on site the moment I'd have to hear that at 3 a.m. Other than being menaces to pets, a lot of people hate coyotes because they see them as an EDP level threat to children. Not only that, but if you're a farmer and don't have coyote insurance, I have to assume you'd also sleep with your life savings under your mattress like Mr. Krabs. Also, it probably doesn't help that they're the reason why Spider-Man doesn't have to be involved for Uncle Ben to still catch the wrong end of a fade. But you wanna know where a lot of the coyote hate came from? Seriously, you'll never guess it. Not with 1,000 tries. Mark Twain. I don't know what kind of childhood he had, but something clearly happened to make him hate coyotes as if one took his mother. Mark Twain in 1872 described coyotes as sorry-looking skeletons with gray wolfskin stretched over it, with a tail that forever sags with a despairing expression of misery. Man's really used his understanding of the English language to dunk on a lower mammal.
Yeah,
even called coyotes so disgusting that even fleas would dub them. He called it a lowly coward with teeth so jacked up that the rest of its face is constantly apologizing for it. One of the biggest mysteries in nature is what one coyote had to do to make Mark Twain invest so much time and malice slandering them. Like, I've never seen a human being so personally offended by the existence of an animal. And if Twain was around today, he'd probably post an exposed video about them. And that would be after canceling them on Twitter. But his coyote hit piece got so much clout that it actually played a big part in the reason a lot of people wanted them evicted. From the prairie, from America, from life itself, we basically declared war on an actual prairie dog. Except there was just one issue with this. Coyotes are canine cockroaches. They refuse to be killed. Seriously, it's impossible, and we've tried. Like, Australia gets a lot of grief for losing a war with a great value ostrich, but we've been getting got by a dollar store dingo for the longest. But somehow getting their lunch money taken by wolves constantly for generations taught the coyotes how to cope. In areas where coyotes are heavily hunted, they'll just have more coyotes. Usually coyotes come out by the half dozen, but in areas where hunters have the green light, they can have litters of up to 12. Coyotes even have a specific roll call for this exact reason. A female coyote will call out as a way to see how many coyotes are in the area. It's like their version of a verbal census. Well, if the female doesn't hear a lot of coyotes in response, that'll trigger something in her body to produce more pups. In one case in Utah, a rancher turned a female coyote into a widow. What did she do? Well, she left the area, found a male, brought him back, and continued making more coyotes. When it comes to coyotes, understand that 1 minus 1 equals 1. The harder we try to birth them, the harder they work to birth them. And no matter how much everything in nature wants them dead, coyotes will still be out here like,
you can't get rid of me.
We hate the things we can't control. That's why coyotes get no love. And that's where coyotes get their get back on wolves. Because where wolves will often outcompete them in the same area, coyotes are that much more adaptable. And as much as people like to say they hate them, we're actually the biggest reasons why coyotes were able to take their act across every state that isn't an island. When we wiped out wolves to the point where we had to physically bring them back, coyotes took the opportunity to turn the United States into its playground. And like the canine cockroaches they are, they were able to survive and thrive in urban environments. Mostly because, like I said, they will eat literally anything. You can have a garden with apples, pears, and peaches and still suffer coyote casualties. You can leave cat food out for your pet, not realizing you're contributing to a coyote's calories. And as are the rules in nature, when you can eat anything, you can live anywhere. Especially because of another fact. Wolves often rely on pack structure to survive. It's the reason why you'll almost never see a healthy adult wolf in the wild by itself. Coyotes can run through life solo or in pairs, making it that much easier for them to fly under the radar. Speaking of pairs, coyotes are monogamous. They very much mate for life. As in, a coyote will find another coyote and decide that's its life now. Mother and father coyote will even go grocery shopping together because that increases their hunting success rate. And here's where they might just win you over. So a lot of their meal prep involves stealing from much bigger, much more dangerous animals like bears or wolves. So oftentimes it's actually the male coyote that'll go and scope out a possible bounty while the female waits off in the distance. If worse comes to worse and the male coyote gets relieved from life, the female coyote still has a chance to get away. And even though his kids have less of a chance at surviving without their father, it's better than the 0% it would have been if both parents got packed up. But the best dog father out there would probably be the golden jackal. While they're not the same, let's be honest, coyotes and jackals are like the metric system and whatever Americans use. If you call yourself an American, you probably call it a coyote. If you live literally anywhere else, it's probably a jackal. Coyotes and jackals pretty much have the same roles in society. And just like coyotes, golden jackals mate for life, and the male will dig a den for his pregnant female, which he will defend with his life. Golden jackal couples also hunt together, and they're 3 times more successful when they do. The father jackal is so devoted that if something ever happened to him, chances are his kids wouldn't pull through with just a single mother working alone. Coyotes are just as ride or die. Not only are they loyal partners, but female coyotes that don't have kids of their own during pupping season will often help their sisters or mothers raise their children. Coyote aunties are very much a thing, and it means a world of a difference to the coyote pups. Speaking of kids, we gotta address the elephant in the room, and that elephant would be the coy wolf.
Whoa.
It's exactly what it sounds like. You ever hear the expression F the ops? Yeah, wolves took that at its word. And like almost everything else, this one's on us too. Because while we were out here murking wolves like they owed us oil, the ones that did survive were low on options. And I guess if you squint hard enough at a coyote, it starts to look like a wolf. I like how out of context that sounded deep and profound, but really we're just talking about coyotes and wolves coitusing. To the point where the northeastern coyote is actually a hybrid that's 60% western coyote, 30% eastern wolf, and about 10% domestic dog, which I can't fully explain. The problem is, coy wolves are bigger than the typical western coyote, while also not being as people shy as the typical wolf. One thing about coyotes, damn it, they're gonna find a way. But the question is, do coyotes deserve the hate? Again, your answer may depend on if you've ever had a pet that got turned into coyote poop. But in their defense, because honestly, someone has to, coyotes don't usually see dogs as prey, usually just competition. And as afraid of them as some people are, coyotes have been responsible for human obituaries twice. Ever. Once in California, once in Canada. Squirrels and deer empty way more seats at family reunions, yet no one's out here declaring war on them. Also, there's a lot of myths surrounding coyotes. One of them is that they'll actively bait dogs into chasing them so they can lead the dog into a pack of coyotes waiting to tear it apart. It's not true. And a lot like with wolves, coyotes are naturally afraid of people. It's when they start associating people with food that things can get bitey. Now, if you ask me how I feel about farmers flatlining coyotes to protect their livestock, I mean, what do you want them to do? I get it. Not to sound all PETA in the face about it, there's humane ways to do it. I literally watched a video of a guy setting his pit bull loose on a coyote and watching it slowly break its leg while the coyote cried in pain and the owner was just recording. And that's where I'm like, damn, reincarnation really something, because Twain's still out here leaving his mark. I'm not asking you to like coyotes. I'm just saying anything with that much of a will to live and that little of a fire under a cautious kangaroo to give about anyone else, I mean, at some point you gotta respect the game. Their entire existence is out of spite and a middle finger to everyone else. I mean, man survived 70 years of disrespect and a second Space Jam. That's gotta count for something. But anyway, that's gonna do it for this video, which you can probably tell I had a lot of fun with. For more consistent content, be sure to follow my TikTok and Instagram. I try to post daily on both. And if you would like to support this channel, my Patreon's also going to be in the description. Final plug, but most important, as you may or may not know, I actually came out with a book earlier this summer, along with an audiobook on the off chance you're not sick of hearing my voice yet. The book's called 100 Animals That Can Effing End You, and I think the title kind of speaks for itself. The link's also going to be in the description. Other than that, drink water. For real, that stuff's important. Hug your mother. She's not going to be here forever. Yep. Respect coyotes, I guess. Thanks to NordVPN for sponsoring this video, and I'll hopefully see y'all in the next one.
Oh, it's so cute little babies, coyote babies. Yeah, honestly, like me, like I don't know where I live, like I've never seen a coyote, like unless I go out into, I decide to go out in the wooded areas, which I never do. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like like I guess, if you have a livestock or a pet that you want to protect, like maybe you want to, try to find ways to get rid of coyotes, but aside from that, like me, leave them alone, man. Like they're not bothering anybody. Like well, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, that's it. That's my reaction to Why Animals' Most Hated Animal is Underrated by Casual Geographic. Yeah, that's it. Everyone, take care of yourselves and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.